You didn't lose when she left. You only lose when you lose yourself. Maybe you're sitting alone, staring at your screen, wondering why the person you loved chose to walk away. Maybe you're waiting for a message, an explanation, a chance to make things right. But this video isn't about getting her back. It's about getting yourself back. We'll walk through each phase of heartbreak, not to cry over it, but to transform it into the fuel that makes you irreplaceable. Because a man who knows when to stay silent, who knows how to master his emotions, who knows how to rebuild, is the kind of man people regret leaving. 1. Losing a woman is not a failure. It's the beginning of rebirth. Jackson's story. One autumn afternoon in Denver, Colorado. Jackson, a 33-year-old software engineer, sits alone in his small apartment after she's gone. There are no tears, just the quiet emptiness where laughter, glances, and shared plans used to echo. They broke up after 4 years, not because of betrayal, but because she said, "I just don't feel the same anymore." To most, that would seem like a failure, but Jackson didn't see it that way. He didn't vent to friends. He didn't drunk call her. Instead, he wrote a single line in his journal. "This is the moment I start over, not for anyone else, but for me." Reflection. Love doesn't always last, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Many men crumble when they lose a woman because they confuse love with self-worth. They let the presence of a woman determine whether life is worth living. But a Stoic man is different. He understands emotions are temporary. People come and go, but he is the constant. Pain is real, but it isn't the enemy, it's fuel. Stoic message. There is no failure in love, only the opportunity to begin again. If you dare to face the truth and stop running from your feelings, you'll find strength you didn't know you had. Let your loss become the start of a new man, steadier, wiser, no longer living for external validation. 2. It's not emotion that defines your strength, it's your ability to control it. Marcus's story. At a small gas station outside San Antonio, Texas, Marcus, 41, a former Marine turned truck driver, pulls over to rest after a long haul. 3 weeks ago, his wife filed for divorce. No warning, no tears, just cold paperwork on the kitchen counter with a note. "I can't do this anymore." Someone else might have yelled, broken things, demanded answers. Marcus did none of that. He just drove, in silence. No complaints, no explanations. He remembered what they used to teach him in the military. The one who survives isn't the strongest, but the one who stays calm in chaos. Reflection. True strength doesn't lie in tears or in begging to be loved again. It lies in your refusal to react impulsively. A Stoic man knows. Emotions are real, but they're not commands. Anger, pain, longing, they're just waves. And he is the ocean. He doesn't suppress emotions. He chooses how to express them deliberately. Stoic message. Don't judge a man when he's happy. Judge him by how he stands in loss, without losing himself. Marcus didn't need to prove anything. He didn't need her to come back. He needed one thing: freedom from emotional dependence. Because a truly strong man isn't one who feels no pain. He's one who doesn't let the pain define who he is. 3. Silence is the most powerful answer you can give. David's story. Seattle, Washington, a rainy Sunday morning. In a quiet cafe, David, 29, a UI designer, stares at his phone. A message from his ex appears. "Are you doing okay?" He reads it but doesn't reply. Not out of anger, not to play games, but because he no longer needs to. 2 months ago, she was his entire world. After she left, friends told him to text her, say something, keep hope alive. But David chose silence, and something unexpected happened. The quieter he got, the clearer he became. The quieter he got, the more uncertain she became. Reflection. Silence isn't punishment. It's a declaration of freedom. A Stoic man doesn't stay silent to cause pain. He stays silent to restore order within. When you don't reply, you're no longer a prisoner of your feelings. When you don't demand, you reclaim your power. And when you don't seek to be understood, you become unshakable. Stoic message. Some things are worth saying, and some are better proven through silence. Silence is not disappearance. It's a more mature form of presence. It forces the other person to face the emptiness they left and wonder why you no longer need them. And by the time they realize it, you've already become a better version of yourself, quiet, grounded, and no longer waiting. 4. When you no longer need her, you become the man who cannot be replaced. Anthony's story. Phoenix, Arizona. The 104-degree heat scorches every inch of skin. In the small garage behind his house, Anthony, 38, a mechanic, is restoring an old pickup truck with his own hands. Not long ago, he had fallen apart after the end of a 7-year relationship. For a while, he waited for a text, an apology, a small sign from her. But one evening, while replacing a spark plug, he paused, looked at his calloused hand and said, "She's not coming back." But I never disappeared. From that moment on, he started living like a man rebuilding himself, piece by piece, with steel, sweat, and early morning gym sessions while the city was still asleep. Reflection. Men often get trapped in waiting for her to reconsider, waiting for a miracle. But waiting only prolongs suffering. A man who follows Stoic philosophy understands she is not the goal, and emotional independence is the true victory. When you stop focusing on someone's absence, you create a greater presence of yourself. Stoic message. Don't focus on the one who left. Focus on the man you're becoming. Do the things you've been putting off. Learn new skills. Read books. Train your body and your mind. And when you stop seeking her validation, you become irreplaceable, not because you're trying to prove something, but because you've surpassed her in your evolution. And when you no longer need her, that's when she starts to feel the need for you. But by then, you're already strong enough not to need anyone. 5. The greatest attraction comes from the man who doesn't need to be attractive. Ethan's story. Boston, Massachusetts. At a tech conference full of successful people, Ethan, 35, a startup founder, walks confidently onto the stage. Calm voice, steady eyes. In the back row sits a woman silently watching him. His ex. 3 years ago she left him, saying he was too busy, too cold, not romantic enough. Back then, Ethan fell apart. He tried to change, sent hundreds of messages, did everything he could to win her back. But no one saved him except himself. And now, in front of hundreds, he shares the story of building his company and rebuilding himself. He doesn't mention her, but her absence has become part of his quiet drive. Reflection. A man's attractiveness doesn't come from trying to be loved. It comes from no longer needing love to feel whole. Women don't regret when you beg. They regret when they see you've changed, without needing them. When they see you not reacting, not reaching out, not liking old photos, they start to feel unsure. Stoic message. Self-sufficiency isn't loneliness, it's inner abundance. A mature man doesn't chase validation. He draws people in through his journey of personal growth. And when he no longer needs her, she realizes she no longer holds power over him. When you stay silent and move forward, your value speaks for itself. And nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't try to impress, because his very presence already does. 6. When you no longer need anything, you have everything. Caleb's story. Portland, Oregon. In a small wooden house among pine trees, Caleb, 47, once a marketing director at a major corporation, is making coffee and tending tomato plants in the backyard. He used to be the kind of man who lived for networking events, business trips, and short-lived romances. His most recent breakup left him disoriented. But instead of clinging to the past, he did the opposite. Quit his job, sold his penthouse, and left the city. No one understood why a man who had it all would choose this life. Caleb simply said, "I'm not running away from life. I'm finally returning to it." Reflection. You're not truly free until you're no longer controlled by anything external. Not haunted by your ex. Not needing to prove anything to anyone. No longer afraid of loss. Because you've found the one thing that can't be taken, your inner worth. A man who lives by Stoic principles knows. Every time he lets go of something that no longer serves him, he moves closer to true freedom. Power doesn't come from controlling others, but from controlling yourself. Stoic message. When you understand your value doesn't come from love, money, or compliments, you stop being dependent. You become sovereign. And when you stop chasing anyone, the right things start gravitating toward you. Not because you need them, but because you're worthy, and you know that without needing to say a word. Conclusion. A truly strong man is not one who is never left behind. He is the one who stands tall when left and walks forward without looking back. You don't need to prove your worth to her or to anyone. You only need to prove to yourself that you will not let pain define your future. Because at some point, when you no longer need anything from the world, everything worthy will find its way to you. Not because you begged for it, but because you've become someone unforgettable. Ciao, teacher. If this video made you pause and reflect, that's exactly why it was created. Share your thoughts, because what you say might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you found value in these quiet truths, don't forget to hit like. And if you want to keep walking the path of becoming a strong man, not by muscle, but by depth, hit subscribe.